you guys really revamped that group. And I know it's, you're limited on competition and no pads, but maybe just early impressions of what you've seen from those guys. Is that a hungry group, maybe with some guys out there with something to prove? And do you like that about that group?
I think you definitely have a lot of hungry young men in that group because they see opportunity. There's no really established guy that's in that room. I've had Tyrell Williams in the past, so I'm very familiar with him and what he can do. He was hurt last season, but he's back healthy. He's looking really good. Breshad Perriman is looking really good. I don't want to get into names because I know I'm going to leave someone out, but I like the competition that's going on in that group right now, and we have some pretty good pieces.
Justin Rogers.
Hey, Anthony. I was curious. I wanted to come back to something maybe Brad and Dan were talking about earlier this offseason, and that's Deandre Swift's role in the pass game, particularly in light of the franchise's interest in Todd Gurley. And I know that's not done yet, but what kind of receiving role, more traditional alignments in the slot and out wide do you see for Deandre as you're kind of formulating your offense here?
Right now in the off season, that's when I like to use the backs outside the tackle box because sometimes they like a fish out of water when they get out there. So he's getting a lot of work outside the box, and he's doing a really good job. He has natural hands, and he's learning coverage and how to read coverage, sit in zones, and run through mans and things like that. So he's doing good. We can use him a plethora of ways, in my opinion, from the backfield, put him out in the empty. I like his skill set so far.
John McEnroe.
Hey, Anthony, we had a chance to talk to Dan about Jared Goff. I'm just curious now your early impressions of working with him now that you've seen him in person here at OTAs.
I had the luxury of seeing him a few times because in LA, we practice against him every year, a couple of times in camp. So, he's doing fine. He's learning the system. He's picking it up pretty fast. And boy, his arm strength is really good. He's throwing some really accurate balls. I thought he had his best practice yesterday, and hopefully he just continues to get better, keep getting better.
And then I did have one question about Todd Gurley. Should or should not occur? What can you expect from a veteran running back like that? Should that acquisition be made?
Todd is a young man that at one time he was considered one of the best in the game. He has a wealth of experience that he can pass along to our young backs. And hopefully, he's got some juice left. So if he's a line, we'll figure out a way to use him. But I've heard nothing but great things about his intangibles. And so that's, what Dan's trying to get done here culture-wise. I think he would be a good fit if we could get him.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, Joe.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm interested in how Swift and Jamal Williams, how their skill sets might complement each other. And I'm guessing you probably think you can never have too many running backs, can you? As much as you have to or want to run the ball.
Well, it's funny you say that. I guess because I'm a former running back, everyone tags me as a ground and pound guy. But if you look at my record over the last few years, that really hadn't been the case. I'm about touches, and how can I get guys touches, whether it's throwing it to them, quick passes, or handing it off to them. Both of those guys, to me, have done an outstanding job of showing me what they can do in the running game and in the passing game so far. I think we can use them both very similar, but Williams is a bigger back. He's a bigger back. He can take more pounding. He creates more yards after contact based on what I've seen so far. Not to say that Swift can't do those things, but they would be used, according to their skill set. And I broke it down to you guys before in A and B back and what I like, but it doesn't mean that a B back can't do A back things on the football field. I think that would be a good complement, a good 1-2 punch, along with some of these young guys that we brought in.
Are you, just a quick follow-up, are you a ride the hot hand kind of guy?
Absolutely.
So whoever it is, doesn't matter. Just
doesn't matter. If you go in the game and you balling, you're going to stay in there.
Thank you.
Yep.
A couple more, Dave Burkett.
Hey, Anthony, let's stay with the running back theme here for a sec. I guess we all love that. So how do you envision using those guys? Is that like a 1A, 1B scenario? Are they both, co-starters, or what's, I don't know, how do you approach
Right now
their
it's
role?
competition, man. We go out there day one right now. Swift lines up with the ones, but Jamal, he works his way in there with the ones as well. It's a competition, and we've let those guys know it's going to be a competition. And I think that's how you get the best out of people. That's something you can't coach is competition. And we can create that at every position, then hopefully the cream will rise to the top.
And then, again, as a former running back, I'm sure you have thoughts on this too, but how much does rhythm matter, volume matter to a running back? Do you need, whether it's touches or carries or whatever it is, does Jamal or Deandre, for that matter, do they need, 15, 20 a game to get the most out of them, I guess?
And that goes into the initial evaluation. Some guys, they need a certain amount of touches to get into a groove, get into a rhythm. The way I like to use running backs, I'm not a volume guy. You got to give it to me when you come in the game right now. And if I put you out and you're out for 2 quarters, you come in the fourth quarter, I want it right now. And some guys can do that, but the guys I feel like we have on this team, I feel like they can give it to us right now.
Makes sense. And then just very last thing for me is one more on Goff. How do you unlock some of schematically, whatever it is, or maybe individually with him, but how do you unlock some of the deep passing game, I guess, with him? We saw the numbers from last year. In LA, they weren't great for him in terms of throwing downfield. So how do you get more out of that aspect?
Well, I know he can throw the football down the field, and and a lot of your deep balls come off of good run actions, but run action is really not great if you're not running the football well. So I think with some of the things we're going to do, the more ways you can run the football, the more ways you can throw it down the field is the way I see it, and he's got a strong arm.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
2 more, Stoney.
A couple of things, Coach. Your early impressions on T.J. Hockenson. Do you see him with the potential to be a perennial Pro Bowl player like many people do?
I do see it. I have to be honest with you. Watching the tape last year, I thought he was a good tight end, but getting him here in person and just being around the young man, I think the sky's the limit for him. And I think he can be a matchup nightmare. And I love the way he's working right now. His work ethic is off the charts. But just his explosion, his route savvy, his ability to get open, read coverages, it's been really good and impressive.
And the other thing, your impressions of Tim Boyle. Most of us have never really seen him play at all.
You got to go back to 2019 and watch his preseason. But, he did a really good job then. And then last year, he was their number 2 guy. So they brought in a guy to be number 2, and Tim beat him out. And Tim was back up for a reason. But he's a big young man with another strong arm. And he's picking up the system pretty quick, too. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys all go to camp and compete when we get into some more competitive situations.
Thank you.
Sure.
Last one, Larry Lage.
Anthony, as a former player and someone who works in the league, what was your reaction to the NFL saying that they're going to stop race norming, which assumes black players have a lower cognitive function related to the brain injury lawsuit? And, so many of your peers that haven't been paid because of this.
We've been so busy that I just heard about that literally an hour ago. It's comical to me. It's insulting. It's just it's just another hurdle that we have to overcome, and but it's nothing new. I think after the last year or so, some of the things that have gone down, we know we still have a ways to go. We've come a long ways, but we still have a ways to go. But from what I've heard so far, that was pretty insulting.